On a rainy Tennessee night, Emily and David rescued a scarred German shepherd named Duke, only to wake up to their son Ethan missing. Hours later, he returned with Duke, who'd pulled a newborn from a creek. Unraveling a tale of heroism and hidden family ties. Love true stories of courage and heart. Subscribe now and join us for more unforgettable journeys. The rain hammered down on Franklin, Tennessee, on October 12, 2024, turning the quiet streets into glistening rivers under a bruised autumn sky. Emily Carter, 39, gripped the wheel of her silver Honda Pilot, her hazel eyes straining through the relentless sweep of windshield wipers. Beside her, David Carter, 43, rubbed the bridge of his nose, the fatigue of a long evening settling into his broad shoulders. Married 14 years, their love had weathered storms since their college days at Vanderbilt, David's steady pragmatism as a financial advisor balancing Emily's boundless compassion as a pediatric nurse at Nashville Children's Hospital. They were Franklin's golden couple, reliable, kind, the neighbors you called in a pinch. But beneath their warm exterior lingered a quiet sorrow. Their charming two-story home on Oakwood Drive, with its wraparound porch and blooming hydrangeas, echoed with the absence of the children they'd longed for. Years of fertility treatments, 2 miscarriages, 3 failed IVFs, and countless nights of whispered hopes had left them with a nursery painted over in soft grays, a silent monument to dreams deferred. That changed 2 years ago when they adopted Ethan. A reserved 5-year-old with soulful brown eyes and a tangle of black hair that defied every comb. His past was a patchwork of foster homes and unspoken trauma, but under Emily and David's care, he'd begun to unfurl, his shy smiles a treasure they cherished. Tonight, they were driving home from a dinner party at David's colleague Mark Reynolds' house, a cozy affair that stretched past 10 p.m. The chatter had inevitably turned to kids, school plays, soccer games, each story a subtle jab at Emily's old wounds. David had squeezed her hand under the table, his quiet strength her anchor. Now, the ride was hushed, thunder rolling as rain blurred the world beyond their headlights. They were a mile from home, winding through the wooded stretch of River Road, when Emily's sharp gasp jolted David upright. "David, stop." He hit the brakes, tires skidding on wet asphalt. In the fleeting glow of the headlights, a large dog darted across the road, ribs jutting beneath matted fur, soaked to the bone. "Oh, honey," Emily breathed, already unbuckling her seatbelt. David sighed, a weary smile tugging at his lips. It's late, we're soaked," but she was out. Rain plastering her blonde hair to her face, her nurse's heart overriding reason. "We can't leave it out here to die." David grabbed a flashlight from the glove box, muttering, "Here we go again," and followed, the downpour drenching his button-down shirt. "Here, pup," Emily called, her voice soft against the storm's roar, clutching a half-eaten granola bar from her purse. They trudged into the woods, mud sucking at their boots, the feeble beam of David's flashlight cutting through the gloom. For 20 minutes, they searched, branches snagging their clothes, water dripping into their eyes, until a low growl froze them in their tracks. Behind a fallen oak stood a German shepherd, its ears pinned back, a jagged scar slashing across its muzzle. One ear torn at the tip. Its brown eyes gleamed with wariness, assessing them. "Easy, big guy," David murmured, stepping in front of Emily, his protective instinct kicking in. But she eased around him, crouching low despite the mud. "Hey, sweetheart, it's okay. We're not here to hurt you." She extended the granola bar, her hand steady, rain streaming down her face. The dog's growl softened to a whimper, a sound so raw, so human, it caught David's breath. For a long moment, it stood frozen, then crept forward, nostrils twitching. It snatched the bar, devoured it in 2 bites, and retreated, watching them. "He's terrified," Emily said, her nurse's training taking over. "Malnourished, dehydrated, look at that scar. We need to get him warm." David nodded, resigned but moved. "All right, hero. Let's get him home." Using his belt as a makeshift leash, they coaxed the reluctant stray through the woods, Emily's soothing words calming its skittish steps. In the SUV, it huddled on the backseat floor, leaving muddy prints on the leather David didn't care about, its shivering form tugging at his heart. Back on Oakwood Drive, their elderly neighbor, Mrs. Clara Hensley, was babysitting Ethan. She met them at the door, her silver hair in curlers, eyes widening at the drenched trio. "Lordy, where'd you find that poor soul?" "River Road," Emily replied, guiding the dog inside. "Couldn't leave him out there." They set up Ethan's old playpen in the laundry room with blankets and leftover pot roast from the fridge. The dog devoured it, licking the bowl clean, its wary eyes softening as warmth seeped in. Mrs. Hensley hovered, curious. "He's a big one, looks like he's seen some things." David checked on Ethan, sleeping peacefully. His triceratops clutched tight, a rare night without nightmares. "We'll take him to the vet tomorrow," he told Emily, watching her clean mud from the dog's coat. "Check for a chip. Get those wounds looked at." She smiled, brushing its bony shoulder. "What's his name?" David grinned. "Duke. He's a fighter, earned it." Duke sighed, resting his head on the blankets, tension easing from his frame. They lingered until he dozed, then slipped upstairs, exhausted but lighter, a spark of joy in their shared rescue. Emily woke at 5:52 a.m., a mother's instinct jolting her upright. The house was still, David's soft snores beside her, but unease prickled her skin. Slipping into her robe, she padded to Ethan's room. The door, always shut for his security, hung ajar. "Ethan," she whispered, pushing it open. The dinosaur nightlight cast a green glow over an empty, tangled bed. Her heart lurched. "Ethan." She checked the bathroom, empty. The kitchen. The living room, nothing. "David," she yelled, racing upstairs. "Ethan's gone." He bolted awake, tugging on jeans. "Gone? How?" They searched, calling his name, panic clawing at them. The laundry room stopped them cold. Duke's playpen was toppled, blanket strewn, the dog gone too. David's voice tightened. "The front door, it's unlocked, cracked open." "I locked it," Emily insisted, shoving past him onto the porch, barefoot in the damp dawn. "Ethan." Her scream shattered the stillness, waking neighbors as David dialed 911, words tumbling out. "Our son's missing, 6. Brown hair, last seen with a German shepherd we found yesterday. Please, hurry." Police cars screeched onto Oakwood Drive, lights flashing, officers spilling out. Mrs. Hensley shuffled over, nightgown flapping. "What's wrong?" David's clipped reply, "Ethan gone, Duke too," drained her face. "Oh, that sweet boy, with that dog?" Emily paced the lawn, tears streaming. "He wouldn't wander off. He's cautious, scared of strangers from his foster days." An officer nodded, jotting notes, but his calm assurances rang hollow. Neighbors joined the search, yards, garages, the woods, while a chopper thrummed overhead, K-9 units deployed. David grabbed his jacket. "I'm going with them." Emily stayed, clutching Ethan's triceratops, whispering, "Come back, baby." At 8:47 a.m., her phone rang. "David," she gasped. "We found him," he said, breathless. "He's okay, coming home." There's something you need to see." Relief buckled her knees. But dread lingered. What had Duke led their boy into? Emily stood on the porch, Ethan's triceratops pressed to her chest, as a police cruiser rolled up Oakwood Drive. David emerged. His sandy hair disheveled, his face a map of exhaustion and wonder. Then Ethan climbed out, muddy pajamas clinging to his small frame, brown eyes bright with an odd mix of fear and excitement. "Mommy," he cried, barreling into her arms. She hugged him tight, breathing in mud, leaves, and a faint metallic tang that sent a shiver through her. Duke followed, no longer the skittish stray but a steadfast guardian. His muzzle stained dark, blood, she realized with a jolt. Then she saw it, a small, bloody towel in Duke's jaws. He patted to her, dropping it at her feet, his brown eyes urgent, almost pleading. "David, what?" Her words faltered as she knelt, hands trembling, peeling back the sodden fabric. A tiny, still face stared up, a newborn, eyes closed, skin pale and cold. "Oh my God," she whispered, nurse's training snapping into focus. She checked for breath, faint, thready, barely there. "This baby's alive, barely. Blankets, now. Call an ambulance." David raced inside, shouting for Mrs. Hensley, who'd followed the commotion. An officer radioed for help as Emily warmed the infant against her chest, her robe a makeshift cocoon. Her hands steady despite her racing heart. Ethan watched, wide-eyed, clutching Duke's fur. "Ethan, honey," she said, voice calm but firm, "where did you find this baby?" His answer chilled the air. "Duke woke me, Mommy. Scratched my door, pulled my pajamas. Took me to the creek by the park. A lady was there, she put the baby in the water, but Duke growled, and she ran. He pulled the baby out with his teeth, so gentle, and I followed him home. Is the baby okay?" Sirens wailed closer as Emily felt the infant's heartbeat flutter, weak but growing. "We're trying, sweetheart," she said, meeting David's stunned gaze. This wasn't just a rescue, it was a dark miracle. Tying their family to a stranger's despair. The ambulance screeched up, paramedics swarming. Emily rattled off stats, less than 12 hours old, hypothermic, minimal response, umbilical cord crudely cut, her voice clipped. Professional, as they took the baby girl onto a warming unit, oxygen mask tiny against her face. "I'm going with her," Emily told David, grabbing her coat. "I'm a nurse, they'll let me help." He nodded, kissing her quick. I've got Ethan. Call me. She climbed in, advising on neonatal care, skin to skin, for fluids, the doors slamming as they sped off. David knelt by Ethan, brushing mud from his cheek. You okay, bud? You were so brave. Ethan nodded, clinging to Duke. Duke knew, Dad. He saved the baby. Detective Laura Bennett approached, her warm brown eyes gentle beneath her cap. Hi, Ethan. I'm Laura. Can you tell me about this lady? Ethan recounted it simply: messy black hair, big coat, like Mrs. Hensley's church one. She was crying, talking to herself, putting the baby in the water. Duke scared her off. Laura scribbled notes. You're a hero, kiddo. And Duke too. She turned to David. We'll swab his muzzle for DNA, check for a chip. Need Ethan's clothes too, evidence. The day blurred into chaos, crime scene techs at the creek, officers canvassing, neighbors buzzing with worry and coffee they pressed into David's hands. K-9 Officer Tom Reynolds examined Duke, his stocky frame kneeling beside the dog. Remarkable, he said, scratching Duke's ears. Old scars, abuse, neglect, but he's trained. No chip, though. Been on his own weeks, maybe months. David's phone buzzed. Emily. She's stable, she said, voice thin with exhaustion. Premature, touch and go, but fighting. I'm staying. How's Ethan? Holding up, David replied. Worried about her, and Duke. By noon, Laura returned with Detective Sam Torres, a gruff man with a perpetual frown. Got photos of women matching Ethan's description, maternity cases, mental health records, locals with priors. Need you and Ethan at the station. David hesitated, Ethan in a lineup room, but Laura reassured him. Gentle as possible. Time's critical, she might need help too. Ethan piped up, Duke comes. He saw her better. Laura exchanged a glance with Sam, who shrugged. Unorthodox. But if the dog reacts. At Franklin PD, Ethan sat on David's lap, Duke at their feet, as Laura scrolled through images on a monitor. After 35 photos, Ethan pointed. Her, the Creek lady. Duke sat up, ears pricked, staring intently. The screen showed Rachel Evans, 27, a temp laid off from Pinnacle Solutions, a firm David's company advised on cost-cutting last year. You know her? Laura asked, catching David's flinch. Not personally, he said, voice tight. But Pinnacle, I worked their restructuring. Benefits slashed, jobs cut. The weight hit him like a punch, his spreadsheets might have pushed Rachel to this edge. Back home, Mrs. Hensley stayed with Ethan, building a pillow fort to distract him, while David fielded calls, friends, colleagues, a reporter sniffing a story. Emily called at dusk. Urgent. Social services is here, emergency foster placement once she's stable. David, I told them we want her. To foster, maybe adopt if they terminate rights. I know it's sudden. But she's ours, I feel it. David glanced at Ethan, petting Duke in the fort. Yes, he said, certainty blooming. Our family's growing. That night, Ethan's screams woke David, a high-pitched wail of terror. He rushed to his room, finding him thrashing, eyes wild. "Don't let her take me to the water." Duke paced, whining, as David gathered him close. "You're safe, bud. Just a dream." Ethan sobbed, "The Creek lady, she looked like my first mom." David froze. Ethan's birth mother, lost to the foster system's vague records, drowned in shadows. Could it be? 6 months later, Franklin County Courthouse thrummed with tension on April 15, 2025. David and Emily sat in the polished pews, hands clasped, facing Judge Ellen Harper. Across the aisle, Rachel Evans, medicated, her dark hair neat, sat with her mother, Linda Evans, and their attorney, tension crackling between them. The baby, now Lily Grace Carter Evans, had thrived under Emily's care in the NICU. Her fragile prematurity blossoming into a rosy-cheeked toddler with Emily's determined chin and Rachel's curious eyes. Today decided her fate. Judge Harper's voice rang clear. "After testimony and evaluations, I grant joint custody to David and Emily Carter as primary guardians, with structured visitation for Rachel and Linda Evans, contingent on treatment compliance and counseling." Emily exhaled, tears brimming, squeezing David's hand. Joint wasn't perfect, but Lily stayed, mostly theirs. The road here was a tempest. Rachel's arrest unveiled postpartum psychosis. Her journals raging against Pinnacle Solutions, and David's firm, for stripping her stability, no job, no healthcare, a pregnancy she couldn't bear. Then came the bombshell, DNA tests. Run on Lily, revealed Rachel as Emily's biological sister, born to Elaine Wilson, who'd surrendered Emily at birth in 1985. Linda, remarried as Evans, had raised 2 daughters who spiraled into tragedy, Rachel's act mirroring her late sister Karen's attempt on her own son 7 years ago. That son was Ethan. His adoption file, pried open by Dr. Sarah Klein, their child psychologist, confirmed it. Karen tried to drown him at 6 months. Rachel, then 20, saved him. Calling 911. Seeing her at the creek triggered Ethan's buried trauma, his nightmares screaming of water and loss. Duke, identified as Ranger, a rescue dog lost on the Charles River 3 years prior, had tracked Rachel. Fetched Ethan, and saved Lily, his water rescue training unbroken despite years as a stray. The Bristol County Sheriff retired Duke to the Carters after Dr. Klein's report on Ethan's bond with him, a lifeline against his fears. Linda fought for Lily, citing kinship, but the court favored the Carters' stability, Duke's vigilance a quiet factor. Rachel, healing, approached Emily outside the courtroom. "Thank you, for loving her when I couldn't." Emily nodded, voice soft. "She's got your spirit, Rachel." A year later, October 2025, Lily's first birthday glowed in their backyard, pumpkins, cake, laughter ringing. Ethan, now 7, chased Duke with a stick, his nightmares fading under Dr. Klein's care and family love. Rachel joined, awkward but present, her twice-weekly visits a fragile bridge. Linda stayed away, the dynamics too raw, but Rachel's presence marked progress, a slow healing of a family fractured by pain, reunited by a child's innocent need. David watched, arm around Emily, as Lily giggled at Duke's gentle nuzzles. "Broken roads," he murmured, "lead to beautiful places." She leaned into him, smiling. "Family's what we make it, messy. Perfect love." Duke pressed close, his mission clear. Guard this patchwork clan, Ethan, Lily, Emily, David, built not just on blood, but on heart, forged through ordinary days of extraordinary grace. From Emily, David, and Duke's journey, we learn that love and courage can heal even the deepest wounds, turning strangers into family through acts of kindness. It shows us that hope often hides in life's toughest moments, and that standing together builds something stronger than blood. What does this story teach you about compassion or resilience? Share your thoughts in the comments, hit that like button if it touched you, and pass it on to someone who believes in second chances. Let's keep the love alive.